From Daily Trust News Center, this is the News Hour.
On News Hour tonight, food scarcity looms as a result of Benue floods. Labour Party unveils 1,234-member campaign council. 8 bandits informants arrested as police repels attacks in Zamfara state. On the foreign scene, Russia arrests 8 suspects over Crimea bridge blast. Hello and a warm welcome to Trust TV News Hour. I am Ayinde Shuaga. Farmers in Benue State say food scarcity looms as a result of losses occasioned by flood crisis in Nigeria and other parts of the world. Trust TV went to some rice fields in Benue State and filed in this report.
The category of farmers mostly affected by the flood crisis are rice farmers. Rice yields maximally in waterlogged areas, but not the volume of water witnessed this year as a result of flash floods.
Because as it is 3 weeks today that the water level has refused to recede, so to speak. It started late September, and for rice to have remained underwater for up to 3 weeks, from what I have seen, if nothing is done, we are certainly going to have a food crisis, not only with respect to rice, because many farms, including yams, sorghum, cassava, and to some extent soya beans have been completely submerged in some cases, and in others partially submerged.
These are rice farms, 10 lakes, as the farmers count losses. With this, they said there may be scarcity of the commodity as dozens of hectares of rice farms have washed away.
Like some of my younger one, the husband, in Nasarawa State, them farm about 20 bags of rice. That is to plant 20 bags, but single even one mudu, 1 cup, then they take inside. The water cover everything. Not only then, from Taraba they down to Lokoja, pass go.
The Director of Agri Services at the Benue State Ministry of Agriculture said at a public forum that there is an alternative to farming. He particularly called on rice farmers to embrace and improve farming methods to minimize losses.
We are thinking, just like what is done in other parts of this country, we should look at the possibility of looking for swamp floating rice that is now being produced in states like Delta, in deep swamps. This should be made available to our farmers.
With rice as a common staple food for many homes, farmers warn Nigerians on the possible shortage of the commodity due to the unprecedented rainfall that hit farmlands this year.
6 members of a family have drowned after their home was submerged in Anambra West local government area. The incident is said to have happened in Nzam community of the local government area on Tuesday. According to a trending video, youths of the community were seen bringing out corpses from a house and depositing them in an upland area. From the video, the bodies consisted of a woman, her 4 children, and a sister. According to the narrator of the video, the family members were already prepared to leave for a safe place before their residence was submerged by flood. The National Emergency Management Agency at a press conference said it has commenced aerial surveillance using helicopters to rescue trapped residents of the flooded areas. The Nigeria Center for Disease Control says it has recorded a total of 10,217 suspected cases of cholera, including 233 deaths in 31 states this year. Director General NCDC, Dr. Ifedayo Adetifa, disclosed this Tuesday during the ministerial briefing and update on COVID-19 response and development in the health sector. He said there was a 47% increase in the number of new suspected cholera cases in August compared with July. Dr. Adetifa also said there have been 933 confirmed cases and 173 deaths from Lassa fever as at week 39 from 25 states. He said globally, COVID-19 cases have continued to decline in various countries, adding that in Nigeria, case trends have varied. The Coalition of United Political Parties, CUPP, has raised an alarm over an alleged plot to remove the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, in a bid to compromise the 2023 general elections. National spokesperson of the opposition coalition, Ikenga Ugochinyere, made the allegation at a press conference in Abuja, where he said the coalition also uncovered fresh plots to deactivate the bimodal voter accreditation system, BVAS, from being used in the election.
The chairman of Nigerian political parties, opposition coalition CUPP, and heads of political associations have intercepted intelligence of an alleged fresh plot against the 2023 general election, and this time being coordinated by leading figures of the ruling APC governors, led by a Southeast APC governor with controversial past, and another from the Northwest, who are working with their colleagues to perfect a plot to intimidate INEC leadership into abandoning the use of electronic transmission and upload of election results to the INEC server, deactivation of the BVAS machine from INEC server, and the creation of crisis of confidence based on trump-up charges that will lead to the removal of top officials of the Electoral Commission, including the INEC chairman, Professor Mahmoud, and other national commissioners who are insisting on the use of BVAS for the 2023 election and the irreversible use of electronic transmission of results.
As the race for the 2023 elections heat up, with election campaigns gathering momentum, political parties have continued to engage Nigerians on their plans for the country. As expected, Labour Party has named members of its campaign council at a World Press Conference in Abuja. The party also promised to return power to the people if elected. Yusuf Akogu was there and now reports.
The event called for fairness on the part of INEC and relevant stakeholders to ensure that 2023 elections are free, fair, and credible. According to the Director General of the Campaign Council, Doyin Okukwe, the country is at a critical time in its history and requires the political class to live up to expectations.
So at this time in our history, there can be no middle ground in the environment for informed, effective, and firm leadership to begin the hard work of turning around our national history and our cloudy political outlook. Significant to observe and also to underline that the bigger movement has to remain rising above religion, rising above ethnicity, rising above political affiliation, and all such narrow sentiments to become a truly national movement of Nigerians, prepared for full participation in this universal mission of national reconstruction.
He said the party will have issue-based engagement with the Nigerian people to ensure a new set of prudent managers emerge.
While those who want to remain willfully or self-deceitfully ignorant may continue to judge or time this renaissance with bigoted, ethnic, and immoral claims, it is important to deeply reflect on the condition of political efforts and financial issues of citizens' reports in different parts of the world, and not failing in our duty of ensuring that we are not at cross purposes with the message this rising army of young, angry, but patriotic Nigerians at this time of our national history. It is common knowledge that the breadth of democracy is the people's power.
The 1,234-member campaign council list has representations from the 6 geopolitical zones in the country. Yusuf Akogu, Trust Television News, Abuja.
In the meantime, the Labour Party has dismissed the 1, 2, 3, 4 names released to spearhead the Peter Obi and Yusuf Baba Ahmed Presidential Campaign Council for the 2023 general elections. A former senior special assistant on public affairs to ex-president Goodluck Jonathan, Doyin Okupe, was named Director General of the Campaign Council, while a retired Assistant Inspector General of Police, AIG Mohammed Zarewa, was named as the Council's chairman. During the event, the chairman of the party, Julius Abure, was represented by the secretary of the party, Umar Farouk. However, the National Publicity Secretary of the Labour Party, Arabambi Abayomi, in a short message said they were not involved in what he called Okupe's mischievous political shenanigans. Abayomi, who noted that either the party leadership or the presidential candidate ought to have named the campaign council, also said the presidential candidate and the DG of the campaign council cannot come from the same geopolitical zone. Politicians in Rivers State have kicked against restrictions placed on the use of public schools in the state for political campaigns by Governor Nyesom Wike through the signed Executive Order 21. National Rescue Movement at a press briefing in Port Harcourt described the restrictions as a political witch hunt of other political parties, an affront to Section 91 of the 2022 Electoral Act and Section 40 of Nigeria's Constitution. The report.
Chairman of the party, Ibiye Karibo Peters, said it is completely unacceptable for the governor to make such pronouncements as Rivers State belongs to all and also the facilities therein, which are built with taxpayers' money in the state.
National Rescue Movement NRM as a political party in the state with a high stake in the 2023 elections find this desperate move by Governor Nyesom Wike to surreptitiously use the instrumentality of the powers available to him to intimidate and shut up other political parties in the state to the benefit of his party is, to say the least, completely absurd.
The NRM chairman and other politicians further called on the federal government, State Commissioner of Police and INEC to intervene in order to forestall political crisis the ban may generate in the state. They called on the good people of Rivers State to speak against what they described as anti-democratic policies of the governor.
On behalf of the National Rescue Movement, NRM, call on members of the Inter-Party Advisory Council, IPAC, civil society groups, and all well-meaning citizens and stakeholders in Rivers State to rise up and resist this impunity and intimidation, as this wicked move has no place in a true democracy that we claim to practice.
I think, what the governor has done so far is a direct invitation to anarchy in Rivers State. This is serious to draw the governor's attention back to 2015. In the wake of elections, preparations of 2015 elections, the Rotimi Amechi-led administration actually deprived the PDP from using their Logia Pesmaka Stadium for campaign, and we knew what happened.
When you multiply the 5 million times 23 LGF, we are talking about 115 million. What is he going to do with this?
I want to use the opportunity to advise the youth in all the AGAs. Let them not be a mercenary to the government, because we are all brothers.
The politicians then advised the governor to use the remaining time he has as governor to focus on building bridges instead of making enemies, where the governor was urged to rescind his decision as it is capable of disrupting the existing peace in the state.
Governors of the ruling All Progressives Congress, APC, and the party's presidential candidate, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, on Wednesday met at the Transcorp Hilton Hotel in Abuja. The top echelon of the Tinubu-Shettima Presidential Campaign Council was part of the meeting. Reports say issues on the agenda include the party's campaign council inauguration and when the party will formally kick off its campaigns. It was gathered that the delay in the commencement of the APC campaign is a result of the crisis within its fold over the composition of the presidential campaign team, as stakeholders have been holding various meetings. However, a spokesman of the APC Presidential Campaign Council and Minister of State for Labor and Employment, Festus Keyamo, SAN, on Tuesday said the final list will be released this week, after which a date for the formal commencement of campaigns will be announced. The Social Democratic Party, SDP, has expressed confidence in Nigeria's electoral umpire, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, will deliver a credible election in 2023. National chairman of the party, Shehu Gabam, who stated this while speaking with journalists in Abuja, called on President Muhammadu Buhari to provide adequate security for INEC and Nigerians to exercise their franchise without any form of interference.
It's not about crowd renting. It's about dealing with major issues that affected Nigerians. The issue of insecurity, the issue of the collapse of the educational system, collapse of the health sector. And so we are dealing with issues. Absolutely confident in INEC. The BVAS system are classic, are unique. And it shows that we are not likely to experience voters' apathy. Because while we are having voters' apathy, some people feel that their vote is not going to count. With the BVAS system, finger capturing or visual capturing, and if INEC can go further and announce the number of accreditation per unit to all people that are around the polling unit, that will give further credence to INEC. They have done marvelously well. Never in the history of INEC this kind of transformation. So yes, we give them. But beyond that, INEC are not the one to deploy security agencies to ensure there's a conducive atmosphere for the election to take place. That is within the purview of the President and Commander-in-Chief.
President Muhammadu Buhari has sworn in Justice Olukayode Ariwoola as substantive Chief Justice of Nigeria at the Council Chamber of the State House, Abuja, on Wednesday. The swearing-in of Ariwoola followed his confirmation by the Senate on September 21, 3 months after his appointment by the President. Justice Ariwoola took the judicial oath of office in a brief ceremony shortly before the commencement of the weekly virtual meeting of the Federal Executive Council, chaired by the President. Kehinde Amodu reports.
Justice Ariwoola was appointed as acting Chief Justice of Nigeria on June 27, following the resignation of Justice Tanko Muhammad on health grounds. He was appointed a Justice of the Supreme Court on November 22, 2011 by President Goodluck Jonathan. This event is witnessed by Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, some cabinet members, other justices of the Supreme Court, and Governors Seyi Makinde of Oyo State and Rotimi Akeredolu of Ondo State. The new CJN is coming in the thick of political activities, and he is appealing to politicians in the country to allow the judiciary function properly.
Law is not static, and that's why you have seen that the National Assembly had continued to amend the laws. And it is the law that the courts apply to the facts available. We shall continue to do justice if only Nigerians will allow us to perform and function without any pressure.
He's also promising reforms, which he says are already being implemented.
We are computerizing already the Supreme Court and all other courts of records so that the delay in filing cases will become a thing of the past. We are creating e-filing, we are creating e-diary so that lawyers can stay in the comfort of their chambers and contact the court, address the court by Zoom.
The judiciary in recent years has been tarred with allegations of corruption and bias, but there are those that can vouch for the new Chief Justice of Nigeria as a man that will ensure the integrity of the institution.
He is a very disciplined person, he is a team player, and he is an erudite person. These three adjectives qualifies him.
We counted ourselves quite lucky, and we look forward to supporting him to contribute to the development of the judiciary in Nigeria.
The swearing-in of the new CJN promises a new wave of change in the judiciary. It is coming at a crucial time when confidence in the courts as the last hope of the common man is essential, especially in the period immediately before and after next year's elections. From State House, Abuja, Kehinde Amodu, Trust TV News.
Justice Inyang Ekwo of the Federal High Court in Abuja has fixed 13 to 17 February 2023 for arraignment and full trial of Stella Odua, a former aviation minister and now senator representing Anambra North Senatorial District, over alleged 7.9 billion naira fraud. Stella Odua is being prosecuted on 25 counts of money laundering alongside Gloria Odita, Nwabu Emmanuel Namdi, Chukuma Irene Chinyere, Global Offshore and Marine Limited, Crystal Television Limited, Sobora International Limited, and the China Civil Engineering Construction Company Limited. Trust TV's Aisha Salihu reports.
Hearing on the matter had previously been stalled 6 times due to the absence of the first defendant and later by a letter from the Attorney General Abubakar Malami seeking to have a look at the case file. But at this hearing, a breakthrough is finally recorded with a letter from the Office of the Attorney General of the Federation asking that the case should proceed. Counsel to the prosecution, Hassan Liman, acknowledged receipt of the letter from the Office of the Attorney General dated 11th October requesting the trial proceeds as investigation had been concluded by the EFCC. Liman noted that all other parties in the suit had also been served a letter indicating readiness to begin the case.
Next year, prosecution on our part, we have concluded all the investigation and we are ready to proceed with the prosecution. And His Lordship has given us a date.
Stella Odua is adjourned for arraignment and trial. It's arraigned for adjournment for arraignment and trial.
On the delay in the issuance of legal advice by the AGF, leading to an impediment in arraignment and trial that has spanned over 2 years and stalled the case about 6 times, the prosecution counsel says, in accordance with the law, the AGF needed to review the case files.
The Attorney General has reviewed the file in accordance with his powers under the law. Having reviewed, has given the EFCC to go ahead to prosecute the matter, and that is exactly what we are doing based on the advice of the Honorable Attorney General of the Federation.
The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, which accuses the defendants of conspiracy to commit money laundering, transferring, taking control, and taking possession of proceeds of fraud, aiding and abetting money laundering, and opening anonymous bank accounts, is set to present 32 witnesses to prosecute the trial. Aisha Salihu, Trust TV News, Abuja.
You are watching NewsHour on Trust TV. Coming up after the break, how Osun community struggles to access healthcare. Stay with us.
TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, you're watching NewsHour on Trust TV. A recap of our top stories. Food scarcity looms as a result of Benue floods. And Labour Party unveils 1,234-member campaign council. Moving to other stories, the Adamawa State Police Command has paraded 45 suspects arrested from across the state within the last week. Amongst the suspects paraded were an 11-year-old boy and a number of teenagers. Trust TV's Salis Lawan completes the story.
Deputy Commissioner Police in charge of operations, Ajina Misbau, who paraded the suspects, said they were involved in acts of kidnapping, robbery, petty theft, rape, among other crimes. Exhibit displayed along with the suspects include 6 guns of varying sizes and models, 10 knives and cutlasses, bows and arrows, rounds of ammunition, as well as mobile phones and 900,000 naira cash. The State Deputy Commissioner of Police said the suspects were picked from various hideouts by police operatives involved in pre-election crime-busting exercises.
Police operatives drawn from Crash Court, Criminal Investigation Departments carry out an intelligence-driven and crime-boosting patrol to criminal hideout, resulting to disconnect of the crime network connected to kidnapping activities and other violent crimes. The command has charged all officers to boost the security of the public space towards guaranteeing crime-free, enable environment for political campaigns and other components of the electoral process.
Some of the suspects who were accused of kidnapping speak. True to God, I was deep asleep one fateful night, and I heard people shouting outside our room, asking me to open the door, and I do so. Unknowingly, they were suspecting me for conspiring in the kidnap of my uncle. I did not kidnap anybody. I was just sent by some guys to buy. I did not kidnap anybody. I was just sent by some guys to buy cigarette for them. Upon my arrival there, I got arrested and brought to this place. According to the DCP, all the suspects will be accordingly be prosecuted after investigation.
We want to appreciate the government and good people of Adamawa State for continued support they have been rendering towards command, and we are sure that all the suspects be diligently prosecuted when immediately the investigation is completed. The police will not relent its effort to keep Adamawa State safe.
The police command said the arrests were achieved in active preparation for the 2023 general election, in which the crime-fighting strategies designed by the command to clear the way for smooth electoral processes and ensure public safety during the election was implemented. From Yola, Salis Lawan, Trust TV News.
Terrorists on Tuesday night invaded Hakau village of Kurfi local government area in Katsina State, killing 1 person and abducting 11 others. The terrorists arrived the village on motorcycles, shooting sporadically to scare residents away before cutting away animals, money, and other valuables. In the meantime, terrorists also invaded Bugaje village, a Jibia local government area, early hours of Monday and abducted residents returning from their hideouts. For over 2 years, residents of the village passed nights in the bushes and under the cover of farm vegetation to avoid being kidnapped by bandits. Reports say the bandits planned their attack at dawn when the villagers were returning for their daily routine and abducted about 24 people in the process. Leadership of the Vigilante Group of Nigeria, operating in Bali and Gasol local government areas in Taraba State, has dissociated its members from the recent attack on Zudai village, Bali local government area of the state. Secretary of the association, Yugoda Emmanuel, who spoke on behalf of the chairman, Gidado Zabuzi, disclosed this during a press conference in Jalingo. He called on the people to disregard rumors being peddled on social media that Taraba state government sponsored them to dislodge some ethnic groups from the area. He said the communities in Bali and Gasol areas are peace-loving and always ready to protect anything that will continue to foster peace and unity, as well as the protection of lives and properties of the communities.
I will put before you right now is that the executive governor did not allow any person to do away with any human beings in his state. What he tried is to maintain peace and harmony in his state. He says any criminal activities that is going on in the states, particularly those people that are involved in it, they should fix it and out. Know that there's no any particular tribes in Taraba State have been directed to be sent away from Taraba State. He's trying to look into those people that committing crime, those people that involving themselves in a kidnapping system, that we should fetch them out in the states.
Zamfara State Police Command has arrested 8 bandits informants, gun runner, cattle rustlers, supplier of hard drugs and foodstuff to the terrorists in the forest within the state. The Zamfara State Police Public Relations Officer, Superintendent Muhammad Shehu, who paraded the suspects, said police operatives also repelled terrorist attacks in Bukuyum, Shinkafi and Safi local government areas of the state. The report.
The Police Public Relations Officer of the Zamfara State Police Command, Superintendent Muhammad Shehu, while addressing newsmen over the successes recorded by the command, said the command recovered 4 sophisticated guns, 1 cutlass and a bunch of charms after a gun battle with the terrorists, which were forced to retreat into the bush. He said police acted on distress calls placed by some community members that resulted in repelling the terrorists' planned attacks at some communities.
Arrest of 2 informant to armed bandits who collaborate with bandits that operate in Monhaya Forest of Sapi local government area of Zamfara State. Name of suspect are Hawa Usman, F, 43 years of Barakallahu area in Busau. The second suspect, Aliyu Mahmoud, 43 years old, of Tudumada area, Busau local government of Zamfara State. Police tactical operatives acted on intelligence information and arrested the above named suspects who were allegedly collaborating with notorious bandits from Monhawe Forest in Sabi local government area of the state.
The police arrested a 28-year-old gun runner who hailed from Gidangarba village in Maru local government area of the state with 250 rounds of AK-47 live ammunition, which he confessed that he was sent by a terrorist leader with the sum of 1,190,000 naira to deliver to an arms supplier and collect the consignment. They also apprehended a supplier of hard drugs and foodstuff to the terrorists, one who loaded the drugs and foodstuff from Kano to Dangulbi village in Maru local government area of the state to supply the terrorists operating in the bush.
Even though she denied fraternizing with her 2 younger brothers, but she indicted the second suspect, Aliyu Mahmouda, to be the person collaborating with her 2 younger brothers who are the bandits by supplying hard drugs, foodstuffs, operational motorcycles for banditry activities, and hiring laborers for the bandits to go and farm their farmlands in the bush.
The command's public relations officer also disclosed that the police arrested a 43-year-old woman who lives in Barakallahu area of Gusau, and another male from Tudunwada, who are alleged terrorist collaborators, an allegation the 43-year-old woman denied.
The air component operation Well Punch says it has carried out an airstrike at Yadi in the Giwa local government area of Kaduna State. According to the defense headquarters, during the airstrikes, a terrorist kingpin, Ali Dogo, also known as Yellow, alongside his fighters, were neutralized in a building they were said to be hosting a meeting. Yellow and his fighters were said to have relocated to Kaduna State following continued bombardment on his location in Niger State. Similarly, the air component also bombarded a location where some terrorist leaders and their foot soldiers converged under tree covers for a meeting in the northwest of Mando, Kaduna State, and neutralized scores of terrorist leaders and foot soldiers. The military high command commenced troops of Operation Well Punch and encouraged the public to avail troops of credible and timely information on criminal activities. The chairman, Zamfara State Council of the Nigeria Labour Congress, NLC, Comrade Sani Halilu, has expressed confidence in the ability of the state government to implement and sustain the 30,000 naira national minimum wage for civil servants in the state. He said this while addressing newsmen over the 21 days ultimatum which the NLC had earlier issued to the state government to immediately implement the national minimum wage or phase total industrial action in the state. The report.
Zamfara State is one of the states in Nigeria that did not implement the 18,000 naira national minimum wage approved by former President Goodluck Jonathan. However, when the federal government approved the 30,000 naira national minimum wage, Zamfara State Governor Bello Muhammad immediately constituted a committee headed by former Minister of Finance, Ambassador Bashir Yuguda, to look into the issue and furnish his administration with recommendations. The recommendations, which were in favor of implementation of the national minimum wage, were forwarded to the governor. The state government did not, however, commence the implementation until the state's labor union gave the state government a 21-day ultimatum to act or face industrial action.
We have a listening governor. If not, what happened with everybody? He refused to listen on the matter get worse. And even previously it had happened. People refused to listen until when the matter goes worse. But in this time around, God intervention with our veteran, with the elders, God bring matter to end as agreed by the state government, signed by the state and then by the state government and NLC, that inshallah by November every Zamfara worker will receive his 30,000 minimum, including substantial adjustment.
However, with a low internally generated revenue status, it may be difficult for Zamfara State government to be able to sustain the monthly payment of the minimum wage. The chairman of the state's internally generated revenue had in a forum pleaded with labor unions that it is not feasible for the state government to implement the 30,000 naira national minimum wage going by what is obtainable.
Men of the Niger-Kogi Area Command of the Nigeria Customs Service have seized 57 exotic cars alleged to have been smuggled to Nigeria through Babana border, a border between Niger State and Benin Republic. One of the vehicles seized carried the plate number of the ECOWAS Youth Council with registration number EYC-AMB 90. The customs area controller, Busayo Kadejo, who showcased the seizures at the area command office in Mina, said 7 suspected smugglers were also arrested during the operations. He said the command had also, in the last 60 days of his assumption of office, seized 21 bales of second-hand clothes, 90 bags of fertilizer, 116 kegs of 25 liters each of premium motor spirit, and 36 bags of 50 kilograms of foreign parboiled rice. Kadejo revealed that the cumulative duty paid value for all the seized items amounted to 238 8,402,916 million naira. People of Okeyelu village in Olorunda local government area of Osun State have appealed to the State Primary Healthcare Development Board to deploy health workers to the village. This is to enable them access health services at the village health center rather than traveling to Osogbo, the state capital, for treatment. Trust TV's Hamid Oyegbade files in this report as presented from our studio.
Okeyelu is one of the villages under Olorunda local government in Osogbo. It's an hour's drive from the state capital. The villagers are lamenting that successive governments neglected them over the years. They complain of lack of social amenities, which forced many to relocate to the city. One of the villagers, Mutiyat Oladosu, said she was rushed to the city on a motorcycle where she was delivered of a set of twins through cesarean section.
There
was no hospital in this village when I was in labor. I was rushed to the city. A doctor in Osogbo operated on me. My twins almost died. It was God that saved my life too. But Suleya Olaomi, another pregnant woman in the village, was lucky. She delivered a set of twins at the new health center in the village. We did not have a hospital in our village until now. If a pregnant woman is in labor or when a child is sick, they will be taken to the city. But this is difficult, especially when it happens at night. Many people in this village died due to the lack of a hospital. We are happy with the new health center. I was delivered of my twins here. The traditional ruler of the village, Oba Isiaka Sodiq Olaomi Asagiri, the Olokeyelu of Okeyelu land, called on the State Primary Healthcare Development Board to deploy health workers to the health center.
Before this primary healthcare center, we face a lot of challenges and different problems has been facing our community here. In terms of delivery, in terms of medical care, in any calamities or disaster. So, but since we have this new health center now, we will overcome all our problems. We appreciate all our governor for come to our aid on this new project we just done, because it will benefit all of us and it will boost the economic of this community.
The villagers said deployment of health workers to the health center would enable them receive prompt medical treatment.
The conversation on gender equality has continued to dominate public discourse, especially as it pertains to economic participation, decision-making, peace building, and other facets of society. These and other reasons necessitated West Africa Network for Peace Building, in collaboration with Global Network for Peace Building, to organize a two-day training workshop for media practitioners focusing on issues that affect women. The training is also aimed at building the capacity of media practitioners and also to bring to the fore gender-sensitive reporting, which should be considered a key principle of professional media production.
WANEC aims to create awareness among journalists and media practitioners to enable them to understand United Nations Resolution 1925, which talks about the need for women's inclusion, decision-making and peace-building processes. The question you asked me is why the media? We believe that the media has a wide coverage to reach a large number of Nigerians, to enable them understand the relevance of this international law. At the community level, we see young men and women, even people who are elderly.
One of the major importance is I've come to know the intricacies involved in writing and projecting women. We know that we have been made to understand that projecting women is projecting peace building, because they are in the cardinal aspect of peace building. So if you involve the women, you have involved every part of the society.
The training, I think, is really apt, especially at a time when women are still being marginalized. Women are still not given that equal opportunity. And there are a lot of potentials which women have that I feel that are yet to be tapped in this country. We have lots of women that have the capacity to hold leadership position, managerial position, but because of this gender stereotype and all that, it's still persisting.
You're still watching NewsHour on Trust TV. Coming up after the break, more stories.
That's great. It's good to see you.
Welcome back. Still ahead, the House of Representatives has directed the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, to immediately suspend the sale of Polaris Bank PLC. The House said the suspension should be until the Nigeria Deposit Insurance Corporation, NDIC, and the Asset Management Corporation of Nigeria, AMCON, conclude all processes for an open, transparent, and competitive bid process. The House said it should be in line with the best practices and procedures for divestment of this nature. This followed the adoption of a motion of urgent public importance by Henry Nwoba Abga Imo at the plenary on Wednesday. Nwoba, who added that the divestment should be done transparently and in line with a due process, added that this was necessary to avert public outcry and untoward reaction from public critical stakeholders in the economy, foreign business partners, the banking community, depositors, and correspondent banks. The Federal Capital Territory's 607.9 billion naira 2022 statutory budget on Wednesday scaled second reading at the Senate. This followed the presentation of the lead debate by Senate leader Ibrahim Gobir at plenary. Leading the debate on the general principles of the bill, Gobir said that the 2022 FCT budget sought to authorize the issue from the Federal Capital Territory Administration Consolidated Revenue Fund of the Federal Capital Territory Administration account, the sum of 607 billion naira. He said 76 billion naira out of the amount was for personnel costs, while 138 billion naira was for overhead costs. The Senate leader said the fundamental thrust of the FCT 2022 budget was to ensure an effective and enduring service-oriented administration for the completion of ongoing projects and the provision of effective services to residents of the Federal Capital Territory. The Federal Executive Council has approved the takeover at completion of the ongoing Enugu-Onitsha Expressway by a leading telecommunications company under government's Road Infrastructure Tax Credit Scheme. Minister of Works and Housing announced the decision to newsmen at State House, Abuja, after the council's meeting on Wednesday. Over 91 kilometers on both sides of the 110-kilometer Enugu-Onitsha Expressway have been completed. The Cabinet is therefore approving that the outstanding works of an aggregate of 91.9 kilometers of both sides be completed at the sum of over 202.88 billion naira. The approval came on the same day the cabinet endorsed the procurement of magnetic resonance imaging MRI equipment for the Obafemi Awolowo University Teaching Hospital, Ile-Ife, at the cost of 597.27 million naira. Minister of State for Health explained that the procurement would upgrade the country's capacity to provide diagnostic services and treatment. Away from Nigeria, Russia has arrested 8 suspects over an explosion that damaged a strategic bridge linking annexed Crimea to Russia. Moscow says it regards Saturday's blast on the Kerch Strait Bridge as a terrorist attack organized by Ukrainian secret services. Russia's Federal Security Service said on Wednesday that it had arrested 5 Russians and 3 citizens of Ukraine and Armenia. Explosives were stored in plastic frame rolls that left the Ukrainian port of Odessa in August and transited through Bulgaria, Georgia, and Armenia before entering Russia, the service said. The FSB accused Ukraine's military intelligence service and its director, Kirill Budanov, of organizing the attack, in which 12 people were also identified as accomplices. Palestinians on Wednesday launched a rare strike in Israeli-annexed East Jerusalem over a day-long operation by Israeli security forces in a refugee camp after a soldier was shot dead. The strike follows the killing on Saturday of an Israeli soldier at a checkpoint near the Shuafat Palestinian refugee camp, which prompted a massive manhunt for the suspected attacker, who remains on the run. Entrances to the refugee camp have been mostly shut, while the raids have affected schools and healthcare. The United Nations Agency for Palestinian Refugees said the violence and extra checkpoints had prompted it to close its schools and healthcare center in the camp. The strike across Palestinian neighborhoods of East Jerusalem came as thousands of Jewish residents gathered in the city to mark the week-long Sukkot holiday. And finally, in sports, the world 100 meters hurdles champion and world record holder Tobi Amusan has been listed among the 10 nominees for the Women's World Athlete of the Year organized by the World Athletics. The athletics body made this known in a press statement published on its website on Wednesday, October 12. The body had further mentioned that the 10 nominees had been selected by an international panel of athletics experts from all 6 continental areas of world athletics. Amusan, alongside Kenya's Faith Kipyegon, who is the current world 1,500 meters champion, and Diamond League 1,500 meters champion, were the only Africans to be nominated. Let's now join Adeniyi Ajisafe for more sports news.
Plateau United technical advisor Fidelis Ilechukwu said his team will present an attacking formation against Experience of Tunisia in the return leg of the second round preliminary stage of the CAF Champions League coming up this Friday at Ray Stadium in Tunis. Ilechukwu stated this after his team slimmed 2-1 win over 4-time champions Experience in the first leg encounter played at MK Abiola Stadium, Abuja. The Gaffer said the best form of defense is attack, and his team will use the strategy to preserve the first leg lead and qualify for the group stage of the competition. With an insight into how the Tunisian side plays, the former MFM coach said he is initiating measures to contain his opponents, noting that his team will give everything to ensure they realize the objective of scaling through to the group stage of CAF Champions League. While ruining the chance missed in the second half of the first leg, Ilechukwu noted that all errors observed in the first leg will be curtailed before the return leg in Tunis. The coach appreciated Plateau State Governor Simon Lalong for the massive financial and moral support given to the team, and assure soccer-loving Nigerians a technical crew under this watch will work hard to secure a decent result in the reverse fixture. The winner of the second round over 2 legs will qualify for the group stage of the competition, while the loser will drop to the third round preliminary stage of the CAF Confederations Cup. And still on football, the Minister of Youth and Sport Development, Sunday Dare, has tasked the Executive Committee of the Nigerian Football Federation (NFF) to improve all levels of football in Nigeria. Dare said this while receiving the NFF leadership who paid him a courtesy visit. The minister says such improvement has become imperative because football is a national asset and a unifying force, adding that the federal government is interested in its growth and development. Permanent Secretary Ismail Abubakar congratulated the new board and charged them to work with the ministry in developing the game of football. The newly elected NFF President Ibrahim Gusso thanked the minister for his support and pledged along with other members of his board to work in the interest of Nigeria. Other members of the new NFF leadership on the visit were Ahmed Yusuf, Rabi Inuwa, Aisha Falude, Margaret Ichin, Essien Udolfort, and General Secretary Mohamed Sanusi. That's Sport News. I am Adeni Ajishafe.
And with that, we have come to the end of News Hour on Trust TV. You can follow us across all our social media platforms. I am Ayinde Shuaga, thanking you for watching.